I'm Denise Watts with G1NBC, and today we are in downtown Howell at Tom Kaiser's office to speak with him about Judge Theresa Brennan.
Thank you, Denise. It's good to be here. I'm happy to speak to you about Judge Brennan and the matters that I'm aware of and can answer factually. I'll be happy to do so.
Great, and thank you too for taking the time out and speaking to us about this.
It's a pleasure.
So, Mr. Kaiser, I understand that you represented Theresa Brennan's ex-husband in their divorce.
Denise, feel free, first of all, to call me Tom if you don't mind. And yes, I know a lot about Judge Brennan, and I have dealt with her for many years. I've had occasion to seek to have some action taken against her as far back as I think 2009. Filed a judicial tenure complaint on behalf of several law clerks and other people who kind of found me as a lightning rod, I guess. I didn't look for it, but it was there, and that was investigated, and then the JTC, Judicial Tenure Commission, dismissed that. Mm-hmm. It's led us to what happened when I had occasion to represent Mr. Root in a divorce action.
So you've been a lawyer in the community since 1968, right? And you were a prosecutor too?
Yes, Denise, I started practicing law in this county in '68. I've been here all my life, except when I went away to school and worked for a while in North Carolina. Ran for prosecuting attorney in 1968. That was my first job, to be honest with you. And somehow or another, I got elected. I served 2 terms. Decided I thought that maybe I should get off the public dole and start earning a living for myself, and did so.
How long is a term?
Each term is 4 years.
Okay,
So,
that's right.
and it was, you know, it was at that time that I learned, and as I was beginning to be a prosecutor, there was a lot of turmoil and in the legal profession. Mm-hmm. And I don't know what happened, but I basically became wary of. I respected great judges and good judges. I became a little less convinced that every judge was out to do the right job for the public, and I always felt that they needed to stand up. And I tried to stand up to judges when that really did not have the public interest at heart. Mm-hmm. When I was prosecutor, and I've tried to carry that on through my practice, the rest of my 49 years of law practice.
So it seems like you've had a great career here in Livingston County. And what can you tell us about some of the allegations that have been out there now on Judge Theresa Brennan?
Denise, first of all, the things that I'm going to tell you about Judge Brennan relate to the happenings in the divorce matter, and the things we found out during that divorce has nothing to do with the divorce. And I don't have any intention to discuss the divorce, but divorce is a tough thing anyway for anybody, mm-hmm. no matter which side they're on. And it's a very emotional time, and I'm happy for my client that it's concluded. Mm-hmm. The matters that came to light during the divorce matter are relevant, in my view, to the behavior of Judge Brennan as it relates to her involvement with a couple of individuals during the course of the marriage, and as it relates to this trial of Walter Jerome Kowalski. 2013 specifically, I had requested before the trial began, I sent a letter to the prosecutor just prior to the trial indicating that they ought to consider that she ought to recuse herself, not handle this trial, because she had a close relationship with one or more of the lead detectives in the matter. And the judge basically at that hearing, and I've read the transcript, and I was not there, but I've read the transcript, and the mm-hmm. judge indicated, I have a friendship with Sean Furlong. It's nothing but a friendship. And I wouldn't even have to, and I'm paraphrasing now, I shouldn't even have to answer this matter. Mm-hmm. But the attorney that's made the claim has a vendetta, if you will, against me, referring to me. And he doesn't care about you, Mr. Kowalski, or your rights. He just wants to do harm to me. And no facts were elicited from the judge. I had suggested to the prosecutor they ought to find out what type of social relationship she and the police officer or officers had.
That's Sean Furlong.
Sean Furlong, and there was another officer that she was social friends with. That was the rumor. Mm-hmm. And there was a rumor around that the judge had been caught in a vehicle with Sean Furlong in a compromising situation prior to this trial. And that rumor I was aware of when I sent the letter, but the truth or falsity of it, I had no idea.
Right.
In any event, nothing happened. The judge handled the trial. She made rulings on the credibility of witnesses, which have included these police officers. And that was the end of the story. From my standpoint, 2013 January, when this trial occurred, until I was hired by Mr. Root in late 2016 for the divorce matter. At that time, we started to take depositions.
Mm-hmm.
Those depositions, in short, revealed that the judge had an affair with Sean Furlong, which he claimed started in 2014, in the spring of 2014, and she claimed started in late 2013. We then got phone records in the course of our discovery and found out that that during the year prior, and we could only go back a year, that's all we had the availability to do, and we got her phone records, and we went back a year, and we find that she, year prior to divorce, she spent almost 1,200 minutes on the phone with him.
Mm-hmm.
She averaged anywhere from 8 to 25 calls a month or so. Some of those calls are during the day, some of them in the evening.
Uh-huh.
And they talked 231 times before the trial started in January. So a period of about 13 months were these calls. The trial started, and during the trial itself, before the verdict, they spoke 3 times. And in my world, judges and lead witnesses should not be discussing a case during the trial. It's wrong.
Right.
Now,
and what else would they be talking about?
well, I mean, I don't care what they were talking about. What I do care is that the court rules that apply to all of us as attorneys,
Mm-hmm.
where you have a person on trial for their life, their very life itself, whether they're guilty or innocent, we value our constitutional rights to due process. We value our constitutional rights to have every person treated equal under the law. And in that regard, Judge Brennan's duty is not to speak what we call ex parte, or without both sides being present, to a witness or an attorney or anybody else connected to the case during the course of the case. However, there is an exception. If a judge has to schedule a pretrial, involves one of the attorneys, or has to issue a search warrant which might involve the officer, it's acceptable under certain circumstances, but they must disclose that fact to
Right.
both sides. In this case, the judge did what she is so willing to do often and say, believe me, nothing happened, therefore I don't have to disclose it. She cannot write her own rules. We are all to be guided by the same rules. What makes it worse, after the trial was over at the end of January, within a week, maybe eight to 10 days, she is in the Caribbean with her husband, vacationing with another couple.
Mm-hmm.
The second night they are there, her husband's gone to bed, 10:40 at night, she calls this same Officer Furlong, talks to him for 30 minutes. Further, before the sentencing on about March 6th, March 5th or 6th of the sentencing on Mr. Kowalski, she talked to him an additional 33 times for
Wow.
330 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Things were going on that were just not acceptable.
So I understand that there's a new motion filed for Jerome Kowalski to get a new trial. How do you feel about that?
I'm aware that there has been a motion filed by an appellate attorney on behalf of Mr. Kowalski, and I'm pleased that that's been done. With regard to that motion, I've read it.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's pertinent. It relates to most of the things that we have just discussed about what happened during that trial, about the failure to reveal anything by the judge. I believe I've also heard that the judge has recused herself. If she had done that before the trial started, we wouldn't be here with this
Right
particular
now.
motion.
Mm-hmm.
And in my letter that I had submitted in 2013 to the prosecuting attorney, I had suggested the concern for me with regard to this man is if he is guilty and he gets a new trial because of her misbehavior,
Right.
that's bad. If he is innocent and he gets convicted because of her misbehavior, to me, that's the worst, okay? I'd rather see 10 guilty people go free than one innocent person be convicted wrongfully. And I think we should all feel that way in our society. And I'm a former prosecutor, and I always believed that.
So Tom, after all the allegations that have come out and all the different things, what is your opinion? What will happen with Judge Brennan now?
I'm not going to tell you what will happen. I will tell you what's going on to my knowledge. I believe that there is an investigation to determine whether or not she has committed perjury, whether she has committed misconduct in office. Likewise, with regard to the police officer, what, if anything, he might have done with regard to perjury or misbehavior of some nature. Further, there is a judicial tenure complaint pending, and on that particular matter, I have been one of the complainants, but I know there are others, and my hope is that that when that's done, that the Judicial Tenure Commission will do what I think they should do, and that is take some action to relieve her from her duties of the bench. I think she has damaged enough people already, and I have a very critical view of her, but I want to stay out of that limelight until they get to do their work.
I want to thank you, Tom, for sitting down with us today and taking the time out of your busy schedule to give us the information. And I want to thank you for your service all these years. I am Denise Watts with UNNBC.